Well, CGTN's Peninah Karibe has been following the elections from Eldoret, a city in northwestern Kenya. Let's take a look at developments today.
The day has also been calm in Eldoret, a big relief for those who went through the troubles here 10 years ago. Polling stations have been busy and some, like this one at this primary school, have been crowded. Voters have needed to be patient.
The queue is not moving. I came in the morning and I'm still here. The polling clerk should hurry up and release us to go and work.
I have been here for an hour, but the queue is moving.
The process was smooth. I found my name in the voter register. Though when they used my finger for identification, the kit did not work, so I used my ID. But the process was good.
As of mid-afternoon on voting day, no trouble had been reported, and people hope it will stay that way.
It's good now. We expect calm and peace.
The queues may still be long at this polling station, but voters are optimistic they will get to cast their votes before the gates close. Peninah Karibe, CGTN, Eldoret, Kenya.
Well, let's go live now to Eldoret, where Peninah Karibe is standing by with an update. Peninah, she's joining us, of course, on the line. Peninah, just talk us through the latest in the voting process there. Did the polling centres close on time? And overall, was it a smooth day of voting?
Well, Lindy, it was a seamless day, according to the Electoral Commission officials, as far as voting was concerned. They said that they didn't really report or receive major complaints from the voters, but we get to hear some concerns from voters during the day, and a lot of it has to do with missing names on the voter register. Now, this, of course, we talked to the Electoral Commission officials about this, and they said that there was a window given to the voters to check if their names were registered, and so they said this was not really their mistake, but that of the voters whom they said were not really keen to follow through. Other than that, really, we haven't heard of many other incidents reported throughout Eldoret and even the Greater Rift Valley region. Now, vote counting is underway. Most polling stations here closed on time, but voter turnout was quite high, and some polling stations, by the time the closing time arrived, Lindsay, a lot of people were still in those polling stations, and so we are told we are actually right now to speak to you in one of the in one of the county tallying centers, and nothing has yet to start. They haven't started receiving results from various polling stations across the county, and they said this is because some of those polling stations didn't close on time. There's heavy rain right now as we speak to you, but the Electoral Commission officials are exuding confidence that their machines will work, the electronic kits that they're using to relay those results to the National Tallying Center in Nairobi. They say they're confident they will work despite the rain, Lindsay.
And we know, of course, that Eldoret and the wider Rift Valley region was a point of tension in previous elections. Is the mood calm tonight as people start anticipating those early results?
Well, that's, of course, the question that most people have been asking throughout the day. What shall be the outcome that the country is going to see from Eldoret? And a lot of voters that we spoke to this throughout the day said they are confident there isn't going to be any chaos of violence. Like you did mention, this was the epicenter of the clashes back in 2007 and 2008. But they say the county has now healed. The wider Rift Valley region has gotten past those tribal issues. That's what a lot of the voters have been telling us throughout the day. They say now they are a united electorate. Now, this is a very cosmopolitan region, Lindy, I have to say. Lots of tribes, really. It's a melting point of different ethnicities. And they say that they've learned now to live with each other. They've learned to create a cohesiveness amongst themselves. And they say they do not anticipate any problems. We've spoken as well to the security apparatus in the region. And they said they also do not expect this to really report any flare-ups. So, Lindy, it looks like it's going to be a calm period throughout the night and perhaps even in the coming days after results are announced.
Indeed, some positive news there from Peninah Karibe joining us on the line from Eldoret. Now let's get you some overall perspective and analysis on voting today in Kenya. I'm joined in studio by Delano Kilolongwe, a security expert at the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya. Delano, always a pleasure to have you with us. We have been hearing from our correspondents around the country, and so far it seems that things have moved very smoothly in most parts of the country, bar some minor irregularities, and that vote counting is underway and the process seems to be going quite well, the new technology. From your perspective, though, how would you describe elections so far?
We would say from a PROSAC perspective that the elections have been credible, Lindy. And this is the first time we have had such a large turnout of registered voters in Kenya to actually arrive at the polling stations, and people from all walks of life. I was at a nearby polling station, St. George's Primary, and actually witnessed somebody being brought in by an ambulance to ensure that their vote was counted. So it has been a very credible process. It has been relatively calm and peaceful, apart from one or two small skirmishes here and there. There have been one or two technology challenges which were addressed during the course of the day, and of course in some particular areas voting is still going to go on into the night. But as the IEBC has already announced, over 98% of the votes are in. I think this is the first time, and really kudos to all Kenyans for being able to conduct such an exercise of such a magnitude and scope and avoid a lot of the issues and challenges in the past. This is, at this juncture, highly successful.
Well, indeed, Kenya does have quite a lot to be proud of at this junction, particularly so because of the history around violence and elections, and also even the build-up to this particular election when we saw the killing of an electoral IT manager. In your view, would you say that the pessimism was warranted? Were there some major challenges in the run-up to this election?
There were very major challenges, and we had candidates, various candidates coming out and making all kinds of allegations which have now proved to be false, including tampering of the process on the actual day, as well as failure, total failure of the systems, as well as lack of credibility and trust in the interim, rather in the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission. And now, in terms of what has actually occurred, you know, one of the things, the famous sayings is that the proof is in the pudding. And now that we've eaten the pudding of the 8th of August, we find that these were unfounded. A lot of them were unfounded. A lot of the pessimism was really unfounded fears. And from a security perspective, of course, we do not bank on fear. We bank on the facts and the evidence. And the evidence that is placed before us today shows that we did have a very credible voting process. And now the challenge is the tallying process and going forward. So it's going to be up to us to see how that is handled.
On that note, of course, some might say it's too early to pop the champagne and celebrate that this has been a credible and fair election. The next couple of hours, indeed the next day, may indeed prove to be rather tense. What should the IEBC and what should other officials do to ensure that tensions don't overspill and that the process does end in a credible, free and fair way?
The IEBC, Lindy, needs to be able to communicate effectively. That's the number one thing. And by opening the live portal and allowing people to have, the media houses especially, to have the APIs directly accessing their system and getting the results on a real-time basis, that's one thing. The second thing is any anomalies that are detected should be addressed immediately. There should be no delays. The third thing is that they should take hold and use their authority, because they are in authority in the country at this time. They should use their authority to address any political candidate, whether a winner or a loser, as far as the electoral laws are concerned, and keep people in check. Because right now the nation is, as much as we've gone through a very safe voting process, the nation is still a bit anxious about what are the results coming in and how are the results coming in. So what we would like to see is a situation where IEBC is fully in charge of the process. The security organs, the entire security family in the nation is backing the IEBC as it conducts its duties. And there's a lot of work that took place from last year, 2016 October, up to this day, in concerning the organization, strategic organization of all the security agencies to work as one family to back this election. So in actual fact, we are certainly in a position from a security perspective to say that really everything right now is falling into the hands of IEBC. It's falling into the hands of the technology that IEBC has deployed. It's falling into the hands of the men and the women that are currently at the tallying centers and those that will be conveying the results, as well as the party agents in each polling station and tallying center. But
indeed, what will also be important is the response now from those contesting these elections, whether the presidential level or county level. Isn't it important to keep an eye on how they respond as the election results start coming in?
It is very important, and of course steps have been taken to make sure that at least there's visibility. Now the difference between even this current election and the 2013 election is we have a lot more, not just eyes and ears on the ground, ground. There's a lot more boots on the ground in terms of the processes. We also have, very different to what we experienced in 2007, a lot more transparency and a lot more visibility. A lot of the stuff that used to look like it's just in mud is now in clear, very clear view of the general public. So, and there's very little tolerance for any kind of, you know, bending the rules, let alone breaking the rules. And we saw this in the voting process that started very early at 6 a.m. today in Kenya. We saw that people would actually stop and say, you know, it's their civic duty to say, no, according to the rules, you should not do this or you should not do that. So we're also looking not just to the IEBC for this, but we're looking to Kenyans as a whole to accept the results. As long as the results are coming out on a timely basis, accept the results, and for political party leaders to also accept the results and not, you know, incentivize their followers in terms of negative directions. And also not to make any negative perceptions about the particular process. A lot of people did predict doom and gloom. A lot of people said that the 8th of August will end in whatever it's going to end in. And they have been proven wrong.
But Delano, of course, we know at this point it is too early to read too much into the results. We're only at about 8% of the vote count. But what it's definitely showing or confirming is that this is indeed a two-horse race. Any sort of prediction of how this might turn out from your perspective?
Lindy, you know, officially we have to wait until all the results are in, and those results have been announced. It's far too early for us to say either this candidate or the other candidate. It has, and it does look like it's boiling down, as has been predicted, to a two-horse race. But which horse will take the tape, we will know within the next couple of hours, within the next day or so. It will be, the final results will be announced, and we will be able to move forward as a nation with, now the big thing here, Lindy, is the will of the Kenyan people is going to come out very, very clearly in this election. And I think that's been one of the disputed actions that has been disputed a lot of times in the past elections, is the people have felt in many cases that their will was not being heard and they were not being seen or felt. In this particular case, because of the deployment of technology, because of the very high levels of security, and because of the sanctity of the process, we do know and believe very firmly that the will of the Kenyan people will be known. Who it will be, I cannot tell you.
We shall wait and see. Thank you very much, Delano Kililongwe, joining me here in studio with an analysis of today's election. And as we know so far, only 8% of the votes has been counted, but indeed it seems the electoral body has a lot to be proud of. And so far, what looks like a credible election.